It's a very common mistake for those that are deep in a fan community of a certain franchise to assume that everyone is at least somewhat acquainted with the IP that they love. I always assume that everyone is at least played one or two Assassin's Creed games, primarily because it's such a big franchise, it's one of the biggest gaming franchises of all time, but also because I know it so intimately and so many of the people that I talk to know it so intimately. I just assume that the general population has played and knows about Assassin's Creed. However, with more and more people getting into gaming every year, the industry growing and more of them being younger, having missed what I consider to be the golden age, when Assassin's Creed was an unmissable, industry-defining experience, and are now entering a world where Ubisoft is making more washed-out or general Assassin's Creed games and is getting into more controversy about the quality of their games overall. I'm beginning to realize that a lot of people who may watch me or who may be interested in the franchise don't really know where to start with such a big IP. I mean, this game franchise goes back for 15-16 years to 2007. It spans 13 mainline games and I don't know how many side games, side media, comics, even a movie that most of us don't want to talk about. And there's just a lot that could be very overwhelming for someone who's somewhat interested in this franchise, who wasn't there during like the golden years as a lot of us consider them, and want to know where to start. And to be fair, it's a very difficult question to answer. Where does one begin with such a monumental franchise? Well, like with most questions in life, the answer is, say it with me everybody, it depends. I think depending on what kind of video game player you are, you'd be better off playing one Assassin's Creed game before the other. The franchise spans many years, as I mentioned, many games, many game styles, and I'm not going to stand here as an old school fan, even though I want to, and beg all of you to play the first ever Assassin's Creed game, because it's not for everyone. But please do go play it. But what I can do, however, is answer the question, what is the best first Assassin's Creed game you should play if you're new to this franchise? In my opinion, we can divide this into four main categories, four types of players or people that could be interested or could come to this franchise for different reasons. Number one is if you're interested in historical tourism. This is something that is becoming a bigger and bigger reason as to why people are starting to pick up and play Assassin's Creed and become Assassin's Creed fans. It's very common nowadays to find people getting into AC because of the appeal of visiting historical worlds within a game, to walk the streets that other humans once walked, and to honestly get the best representation of ancient worlds currently available in the world. I really think that what Ubisoft does is not matched by anyone, and if you are a history nerd, if you're primarily attracted to AC not because of the assassin fantasy or anything else, but because you're interested in diving into historical worlds, I would honestly recommend you start with the RPG trilogy. For those who don't know, in the AC community, we call the RPG trilogy the games that came in 2018 onwards, so Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and AC Valhalla. Obviously, if there's a specific time period you're obsessed with, like the French Revolution, then go play AC Unity. But if you're just in general a bit of a history nerd, what Ubisoft have achieved in the last 3 full-scale games, and obviously Assassin's Creed Shadows, is nothing short of remarkable when it comes to historical recreation. They have committed to rebuilding entire countries by 2018, and they've done so with the same love and care that they always do. The art department, the environment department never fails with Assassin's Creed. Ancient Egypt from AC Origins is my personal favorite rendition of these ancient worlds, and I also think that AC Origins is the perfect entry point into the franchise if you're interested because of this reason. These games will give you countless hours of fun and entertainment just walking around and experiencing these worlds, interacting with the people, getting to know the culture, the architecture, the customs, and feeling like you're an influential force in these open worlds. I cannot imagine how you could play any of these 3 games as a history nerd and not be blown away by what is possible with today's technology. I believe Assassin's Creed is the best game franchise to explore these worlds through, because you have so much freedom of movement. Even with the restricted parkour system that we have in the newer games, you can still truly go anywhere. You can climb anything, and you can feel like you're an explorer in an ancient world, making your own discoveries, going on your own adventures, and going to places no one has gone before. Doing this while role-playing as a cool character like Bayek is truly like an irreplaceable experience, and I really urge any of you who have taken any slight interest in Assassin's Creed for this reason of historical tourism to give that game a shot. I really believe that AC Origins is the perfect entry point for you. And then, if you like that, I would move forward with the rest. AC Odyssey does what Origin does, but bigger. Some argue better. I don't particularly agree with that, but it definitely does it bigger. Like, the historical tourism, the diving into the fantasy of ancient Greece is done at the 10x scale of AC Origins. So if you try AC Origins and you love it, I think that you'll quite like AC Odyssey as well, from that perspective. And then you should play AC Valhalla and obviously AC Shadows. If you like that, then definitely go towards some of the older games, because the recreations there are still top of the line. But I think these 3 games, in terms of scope and size and modernity in terms of the technology, technology they use is pretty remarkable, and I would recommend that. However, not all of you might be interested in AC because of that, which brings us to person number 2. Assassin's Creed if you're interested in the story. Where do you begin? Now, Assassin's Creed stories throughout the games have had very high highs and very low lows. However, I believe that as a whole, the world building, the universe that they've created, the storytelling and the philosophy of this franchise is honestly one of the best ever in fiction. I think that if you're a gamer who's looking for a great story, one that makes you think, feel, hate, love, fear, miss, and laugh, you need to experience it all. And I mean all. I would recommend, if you're interested in experiencing a good story, that you start with Assassin's Creed 2. You basically play Assassin's Creed 2 and move through every game up until Black Flag. From there, things arguably go downhill, so you can kind of decide whether to move onwards or not, but I promise you those games hold a timeless story for you to experience. They're all connected from game to game to some degree, and they also have their own individual stories within each game as well. The reason why I wouldn't say that you should start with Assassin's Creed 1 is because the sequel catches you up pretty quickly, and things get much more serious and much more like into the flow of things by Assassin's Creed 2. It's a much tighter game mechanically, and the historical portion of the game story is much tighter as well, I have to admit. As you may or may not know, Assassin's Creed has 2 main storylines at all times unfolding. You have a modern day dystopian sci-fi story about modern day assassins and Templars, which is the story that kind of carries over from game to game. And then it has a historical story, which is where you spend most of your playtime. You're kind of like in the story of the ancestor whose memories you are reliving. That story is unique to each game, and AC2 has one of the better stories in the whole franchise. This is where we're introduced to Ezio Auditore, who became one of the biggest gaming protagonists of all time. I think that game is going to grip you from start to finish, and you're naturally just going to want to work through onto Brotherhood, Revelations 3, and Black Flag without a hitch. I do think AC1 has a lot to offer, but if you're just looking for a good story and wanting to get invested, you're more likely to succeed at that if you start with Assassin's Creed 2. But what if you don't really care about an overarching story? What if you don't care about conspiracies or subplots or cringe philosophy? What if you're looking for another cool action-adventure game to play? You just want to have a fun time. Maybe you love the Uncharted series or God of War, and in the words of Jake Baldino, you want a video game-ass video game. Something that feels good to play, that doesn't shovel any microtransactions, that doesn't have a live service launch plan, that doesn't have anything except fun video game mechanics in a fun video game world. Well, then you'll be person number 3. If you want this, you want a cool action-adventure game to play, and Assassin's Creed has that in droves. However, in my mind, without a shadow of a doubt, there is one game that gives this experience of a cool action-adventure experience the best above all of them, and that is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. This game walks the line between AC game and adventure pirate game perfectly, in my opinion. It's by far one of the best stories Assassin's Creed has to offer from just a narrative standpoint. It has amazing action-adventure linear gameplay, but it's mixed in with this huge open world you can explore between missions. You have your own ship, you can travel through land, you can visit cities, you can upgrade your ship, you can enter ship battles, you can board ships. It's just insane what they achieved in 2013. It also has bombastic set pieces within the mission. It has phenomenal voice acting and cutscenes, and to this day, for better or for worse, it's the best pirate game that has ever been made. And it's a pretty self-sustained game. You don't need to play any of the other games before it or even after it. Many of my friends that are outside of the AC community honestly have only ever played this game, and they say that they just wanted to play a pirate game, they had fun, and they're not interested in continuing with the franchise. And though I believe that it is a great intro into the franchise, if you're just looking for another top-tier action-adventure game, you just cannot go wrong with AC Black Flag. It's quite an old game now, but it holds up surprisingly well, and I don't know if that speaks to the quality of the game or the quality of where the gaming industry is at now, but if you just want a video game-ass video game, I really do recommend you try Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. But if instead of the bombastic action-adventure you want a cool stealth game to play that focuses less on combat and more on stealth, then you'd be person number 4, my kind of person, and AC Unity is the game for you. Now, this is probably the most controversial one of all the recommendations I've made. I think other Assassin's Creed fans are going to agree with the recommendations I've given you on how to enter the franchise depending on your interest. But I think the ultimate stealth experience, or the best baby's first stealth experience as a beginner to Assassin's Creed, is much more contentious. And I think that there are other contenders for best stealth game within the franchise. Surprisingly enough, there are many games in AC that don't really prioritize stealth or even reward it, like Assassin's Creed 3. But many do, like AC Brotherhood and AC Revelations. But I chose AC Unity for very various reasons. First of all, it has some pretty important advantages over the other two games when it comes to bringing new players in, which is that it looks and feels really, really good. It feels, not so much sometimes, but it does feel next gen when the things are working the way they should. The movement and animations are god tier, the open world and the design of Paris is insane for a 2014 game, and the missions, pretty much all of them are designed with an open-ended stealth approach. You have quite a lot of agency and freedom regarding how you tackle each mission, how you reach your target, where and when you kill them. And that kind of agency is really important nowadays in the gaming industry. A lot of players are getting very used to and assuming that every game will have this like non-linear design. So I don't want to then throw you back into a game from 2009 that doesn't really give you that if you're looking for more agency in your stealth gameplay. AC Unity gives you everything you need to feel like you are the one crafting these opportunities and killing these targets. It also mechanically does something that no other Assassin's Creed game has done before or since, and I don't know why. What it does is it allows you to equip two stealth tools at the same time. You have your Phantom Blade readily available, as well as your Smoke Bomb on two distinct different buttons. You could also have your Berserk Blade instead and a Cherry Bomb. You can create combinations that allow you and incentivizes you and rewards you to try different combos in a way that other games didn't. Other games, if you wanted to try different tools, require you to pause the gameplay to open a weapon wheel to select different tools one at a time and then use them. AC Unity feels like one of those stealth experiences that, while definitely not perfect, and again, I know it has bugs and I know that it's not a perfect game, was pushing in the right direction as to how modern stealth games should be. The stealth genre is kind of going through a little bit of a crisis of identity right now because no one really knows how to make it a draw within itself. Stealth is kind of being relegated to being a feature in open world games that also have everything else. And AC Unity had a good idea of allowing the player to keep the momentum of the game, blending it with amazing movement and environments for you to create your own cinematic moments. AC Unity, because of the animations that it has and the way that it's built the world, allows you to kind of create those cinematic set pieces that you have in AC4 Black Flag, but it allows you to create them for yourself. And it rewards you for using as many tools as you can to dispose of your targets. Of course, the game has flaws and the story is not the best, but Assassin's Creed Unity is, to this day, in my opinion, the most stealth-focused experience while keeping the true DNA of Assassin's Creed. You can honestly play most of this game in stealth if you want to. And I'm also happy to say that if you've tried AC Unity and didn't like it, or you did like it, but you just want to try with a different game that has good stealth in Assassin's Creed, AC Mirage, a very recent installment into the franchise, also has a fantastic stealth focus. Mirage is surprisingly good, and before it is a return to form or anything else, it's a really good stealth game. Like, it just has great mission design for stealth, it has great mechanics for stealth, and I would recommend this game first if it wasn't for Assassin's Creed Unity. So there are my recommendations for beginners who are looking to get into the franchise, and I'll give you a shameless addition as any fifth person who might be interested in the nostalgia factor or just appreciating or understanding how this whole franchise started. Please do go play Assassin's Creed 1. It has some jank and obviously a lot of things are outdated because it's a 2007 game, but to me it's an irreplaceable game that I still love to this day. Let me know in the comments if you're a beginner what kind of guidance or opinions you would like from an AC veteran in terms of what you should look out for in the franchise and what questions you have, and I'll do my best to help you in future videos. And if you do end up liking any of these games as your first game and want to explore how to immerse yourself more in them, watch this video I made about the most immersive ways or lore accurate ways to play Assassin's Creed. I think you'll really like it.